Morning, Andy.
Good morning. How's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Dana. Hey, Gary. Hey, everybody else. Andy.
Hi, Steve. We're just waiting for a quorum. We'll let you know when we're ready to go.
Sure.
Hello.
Hey.
Okay, Steve, ready when you are.
All right, let's get going, Dana. You want me to start with the?
Yeah,
the-
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right, so welcome everybody to the Pioneer Valley MPO meeting of August 23rd. As has been the case for over a year, we are going to continue to hold this virtually based on an act relative to extending certain state of emergency accommodations, which among other things extends the expiration of the provisions pertaining to open meeting law to March 31st, 2023. Participants will be muted upon entrance to the Zoom meeting. Participants wishing to speak should click participants icon on the lower toolbar and then click raise hand in the dialog box to notify the chair. Telephone participants should press *9 to indicate that they wish to speak. Use the chat to ask questions to the entire MPO. *6, mute your phone. That's only for call-in only. This meeting is being recorded for a purpose of creating minutes. Please raise your hand now to notify the chair if you are also recording this meeting. The chat feature has been restricted to communication with the host. Please raise hand and wait for the chairman to call on you. Thanks, Dana. So let's move to the agenda item. First item on the agenda is call the order. Who's doing it? Dana, you
Yeah.
doing it?
I'll do it. Steve Wolfel.
Steve Wolfel, representing Secretary and CEO of Massdot, Jamie Kessler, here.
Paula Simmons.
Good morning, everyone. Paula Simmons, Massdot District 2, representing Jonathan Gulliver, Massdot Highway Division Administrator.
Walter Gunn.
Present, representing Pioneer Valley Planning Commission.
James Berry.
Here.
Rick Sullivan.
Here.
Josh Garcia, Mayor Garcia, sorry.
Here.
Sandra, are you here for PVTA? I don't see Doug here.
I am here, yes.
Okay. And I think that's what we've got.
Okay, welcome again. Let's move on to agenda item 2, which are the minutes for the meeting of July 26, 2022. Can I get a motion, a second, to approve the July 26 minutes?
Sure, so moved, Walter Gunn.
Second, Rick Sullivan.
Any questions or comments on the minutes? Seeing none. Danny, you want to read the roll, please?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Paula Simmons,
Yes,
Walter Gunn,
Yes,
James Barry,
Yes.
Rick Sullivan,
Yes.
Mayor Garcia,
Yes.
Sandra Sheehan.
Yes,
All right, thank you for that. Move on to agenda item 3, which is a tip amendment that we had out for public comment for the to the federal fiscal year 2022 to 2026 tip. Dana, you handling this?
Andy will take it.
Andy, go ahead, Andy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. So in July, we presented this slide to the MPO, basically the PVTA, as well as a couple other a municipality and the Hilltown Community Development Corporation had applied for some 5310 federal transit money to enhance mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities. Total is around just under $2 million for 6 projects. The MPO agreed to release this this amendment for the 21-day public review period. Additionally, at that meeting, 2 other items were included as well. One was an amendment and the other one was an adjustment. So the adjustment was approved at last month's meeting. The addition of the 609517 Long Meadow Blueberry Hill Elementary School Safe Routes to School project was included as a proposed amendment to be moved from 2023 to 2022. This proposed amendment was released. During public review, we received a comment from Massdot, Office of Transportation Planning, stating that after reviewing this project, the 609517, it was determined that the project would not be available to move ahead in 2023. So the recommendation of Massdot is to leave this project in 2023. So what we're asking the MPO to do today is approve the tip amendment minus the Long Meadow project. So approve the, if I jump back here, the transit projects. The MPO has already approved the adjustment. So we're asking to not include the Long Meadow Safe Routes to School. And I'm not sure if OTP has anything to add in regards to that project. If not, we'll be looking for a motion to approve it.
So Andy, before, Paul, are you going to speak to this project?
no, all I know is that it was supposed to go into 23 and then we got an email saying that it wasn't going to make it from Boston. So I guess it's staying in 2023.
So Andy, when we put out the amendment, both pieces were together, both the transit and the highway amendment, correct?
Yeah, so we were asked to include this in the amendment, the
Right.
609517. So at the time, the add date was late September of 2022. I guess after a review by the designer, or obviously during the review, it was determined that the project was not going to be able to make that September add date. So instead of moving it into 2022, it was determined to stay.
Mark, go ahead. I think you're muted, Mark.
Thanks. Yeah,
Oh,
I just want to clarify the years, because consistently or inconsistently, we're talking 2022, 23 and fiscal 2022, 23. I just want to make sure I understand where this is actually getting moved. It's being moved because we're currently in fiscal year 2023. So
So
can somebody just clarify
Yeah, I could speak to that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So this project is currently programmed in federal fiscal year 2023, which starts on October 1st of 2022. It was believed that it was going to be able to move into federal fiscal year 2022, which means that this project would need to be advertised before the end of September of 2022. During public review, the project was reviewed by Massdot, and it was determined that it could not make the ad date in September of 2022. Therefore, they're asking the project to remain in federal fiscal year 2023, which is where it is now.
Yeah, Andrew, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
I think the way I read this, and I think I heard a little bit from Paula, is it sounds like the problem is on the town's side. I know it was pretty quick. We pushed this project back a year in July, and I'm reading here that it's our design staff in this town were unable to get this thing to an advertising date in September. And that is what Boston reads into it and reports back to the MPO that we need to move this back into 2023. Does that sound like a fair assessment?
Yes, I believe it does, Walter. But Rick, go ahead, and then I'm going to see if Derek or Chris has any more information.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, are we leaving any money on the table here? And is there something else if we are, is there someplace else we can move it? And I understand there's not a lot of time here.
No, so this is Safe Routes to School funding. And again, it is currently in 2023. They just saw a potential opportunity to move it up a fiscal year. So it's still Safe Routes to School money that's currently in 2023. And again, if Derek or Chris have something to add.
Thank you.
Chris or Derek, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, I think similar to what Paula said, we had heard from the Highway Division headquarters that the final PS&E won't be ready until late September, which is a little too late, as Andy mentioned, for the originally scheduled September 10th, 22 ad date, and that's the last possible advertisement date of the federal fiscal year. So I think there was just some back and forth on project schedule, and at the time we released the amendment, the schedule was showing that there was a range of possible ad dates, and in an effort to kind of get as many projects out in the federal fiscal year as we could, we thought this would be a good candidate to move up, but it actually turns out the ad date was in the revised schedule a little bit later and on the later end of that range. So for that reason, it was just determined that it would be better for 2023 and just safer as an advertising date.
So Derek, this project could move in the first quarter, right? Or expected to be advertised in the first quarter of federal fiscal year. To Mark's point, it's really a difference like
Right.
a month or two. That's really all we're talking.
Right, exactly. The goal of moving it up had more to do with funding than actual timeline for construction. That shouldn't change.
Does that make sense, Mark?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for the clarification. That was very helpful.
All right, anyone have any more questions? If not, I think we probably need to make a motion to withdraw and drop the Blueberry Hill Elementary from the amendment and take that out, and then just do a full motion on everything. So if there's no more questions, can I get a motion second to drop project 609-517 Long Meadow Blueberry Hill Elementary School Safe Routes to School improvements from the amendment that was out?
I'll make that motion. Walter Gunn, eloquently put, Steve.
Thank you.
Rick Sullivan, second that.
All right, any questions? All right, Dana, please read the roll.
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Paula Simmons,
Yes,
Mayor Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor LaChapelle,
Yes.
Rick Sullivan,
Yes.
James Barry,
Yes.
Doug Slaughter,
Yes.
Walter Gunn.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
All right, so this leaves us with the community transit projects still in the amendment. Can I get a motion second to approve the amendment that has the federal fiscal year 2022 transit projects?
So move, Walter Gunn.
Second, Rick Sullivan.
All right, any questions before we vote to endorse this? All right, seeing none. Dana, you want to read the roll?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Paula Simmons,
Yes,
Mayor Garcia,
Yes.
Rick Sullivan,
Yes.
James Barry,
Yes.
Mayor LaChapelle,
yes,
Doug Slaughter,
Yes.
Walter Gunn.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Andy. We'll move on to agenda item 4, which is the federal fiscal year 2023 update of the public participation plan. And who's handling this? Jeff, go ahead,
Jeff
Jeff.
McCullough.
Thanks so much. We're here today to update the public participation plan for the Pioneer Valley MPO. This document is really the blueprint for the MPO's public engagement, and it's central to the development and components of the regional transportation plan, the unified work program, the TIP. All of this outreach that goes along with those programs are wrapped into this document. It's very much a living document. It changes quite frequently. You changed this document, the MPO did in 2016, again in 2017. We're here with changes for 2022, and we do anticipate that we will be back next year with additional changes. Next slide. So this is what meetings used to look like. The main reason for updating this plan is to incorporate virtual meetings into the format of our public participation plan. Meetings don't look like this anymore, as all of us are aware, and the virtual format is something that has been really critical to our outreach. And we've worked closely with our partners at both the federal and state level to adopt policies and programs into this plan that we think will make it stronger. It's a lot of been a challenging learning experience for our staff to adopt virtual meeting formats, and we still have obstacles to overcome. But we continue to work on that and advance the training of our staff. These are some of the summaries just of what's in the plan that relates to the new virtual formats. We also have some planning tools that we can incorporate that we didn't have in the past. And again, these additions have really been pulled from many of our partner organizations, and with the assistance of Massdot as well. We've been meeting routinely. Next slide. The other reason for updating the public participation plan is to incorporate new additions and requirements for MPOs, and also new resources that were not available prior, such as the Massdot Engage tool. So we're excited to have an opportunity to expand the outreach we are doing. It's estimated that over 40% of the population has some barrier to participation at meetings, whether it's language, time, travel, or technology. And so we've been working to eliminate those barriers in the development of this public participation plan. Next slide. So we're here today to release this for public comment. We're estimating at the minimum, the requirement is 45 days. We do anticipate leaving it open longer than that to allow us to reach out to some of our partner organizations in the Valley. And if there's no further questions, I'll turn it back to you, Steve, to make a request for releasing this document.
So,
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
sorry, go on, Walter.
Yeah, this sort of, at the moment, the virtual meeting things, I don't know, am I reading this wrong, but doesn't it sort of run contrary to the state open meeting law? And I believe we're still in a temporary phase here till March of 2023, because the legislature really sort of didn't act on a permanent solution for hybrid meetings.
That's correct. We have not, we anticipate we're going to be coming back to you next year. Massdot has been working diligently for an updated public participation plan. And I know they're very close, and we were actually holding off on this until that document was done, but it just wasn't going to fit our timeline and our unified planning work program requirements. So we thought this is a great opportunity to update the plan to at least incorporate the virtual components of the planning work that we're doing now. We're anticipating that, again, that we'll be back next year as we have more information on what's required. Everything in this document that we do currently meets the state's open meeting law requirements, though.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Gary?
I just wanted to point out, Steve, that we have an error on this slide. We're intending to release this document today with MPO approval, not in September.
Yeah, I saw that. And I think too, Walter, some of the MPOs had some of the virtual in it and some didn't. So I think Jeffrey's point is like, depending on how we go, whether it's hybrid, like whatever it ends up being, it's important that this is at least in the public participation plan in some way. Am I right, Jeff? About that?
Exactly. We did not have a virtual component in our public participation plan. And so now we have a framework for doing that work and guiding us.
No, that's great. I think that's a perfect plan. So.
All right, so can I get a motion second to release this today for at least a 45-day public comment period? As Jeff said, that's the minimum, but we anticipate leaving it open longer than that. So can I get a motion second?
I'll make that motion since my mic's still on. Walter Gunn.
Rick Sullivan, always happy to second Walter's motions.
Wow. All right, any questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Danny, you want to read the roll, please?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Paula Simmons,
Yes.
Mayor Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor LaChapelle,
Yes.
Rick Sullivan,
Yes.
James Barry,
Yes.
Doug Slaughter,
Yes.
Walter Gunn.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jeff, for that. So we'll move on to agenda item 5, which is the regional transportation plan, which I believe, Gary, this is you. Am I correct?
Yes, it is, Steve. Thank you. I just wanted to take the opportunity to briefly update the MPO members on the upcoming schedule for the regional transportation plan update. The MPO last endorsed our regional transportation plan in July of 2019. We are required at a minimum to at least update the plan every 4 years. The RTP is our long-range planning document, and it will look at long-range planning opportunities for projects and studies through the year 2050. And one of the things that is important about this document is the RTP feeds projects into the TIP. And it's important that any project that is going to be eligible for federal funding appear as part of the financially constrained portion of the regional transportation plan. So we're starting to begin some preliminary outreach on the RTP. We anticipate doing 4 to 6 tables at local farmers markets. We've done some of this in the past, and we found it's a great way to engage with public as they're already out doing some of their shopping, and provide some education on who PVPC is, what the regional transportation plan is. And we will tentatively begin this in the middle of September. We've already identified locations in Springfield, Westfield, Amherst, and forgetting the last, Northampton. And we're probably looking to identify at least 2 more so we can be out there to get some public outreach. The next step would be focus groups. And we've currently been doing 4 focus groups: an environmental, a transit, a bicycle, a pedestrian, and an infrastructure focus group. This is a great opportunity to do some goal setting and talk about the vision of the long range document and general content. And we'll bring different milestones in front of the MPO as you have meetings and as they're available. So through the month of March, we'll be talking about our draft vision and goals and some draft chapters that we can release early because it is such a large document for review. Environmental consultation is where we do an analysis of the projects included in the long range plan and overlay them on a various numbers of environmental constraint maps, such as wetlands or 100-year flood maps. trying to get some conversation going with various environmental agencies in our region and their feedback on any projects that they may have questions on in the long range plan. Air quality conformity, financial constraint, we're talking about an April-May timeframe. That could change. We will be working with our state partners at Massdot as they provide much of this information so that analysis can be completed. We'll also be doing a complete environmental justice Title VI and now Justice 40 analysis for the long range plan. We anticipate a draft will be brought to the MPO, a complete draft brought to the MPO in June, and that we would request endorsement in July. That is the final date where we would need to endorse the document in order to meet that 4-year criteria. So just a brief update, and we'll continue to bring more information to the MPO as it becomes available.
All right, anyone have any questions for Gary? All right, seeing none, thanks, Gary. So stay tuned for more information on the plan. So next agenda item is agenda item 6, transportation evaluation criteria. Who's handling this?
That's me as well, Steve.
All right, go ahead, Gary.
So back in January of this year, the MPO adopted some changes to the transportation evaluation criteria. This is the scoring methodology that we use to rank the projects that would be considered for the TIP funding through the TIP. At that time, we had done some modest changes to address. We had one point that we had never awarded, and we had made some changes to take that point out and rescore some of the criteria. But we also had indicated we wanted to revisit our criteria in the fall because we wanted to do a check to see how well it's corresponding to the new bipartisan infrastructure law, the BIL. And we've started that process internally. We're looking at the projects that are in the that have been scored, in historically, and we're looking at how points have been allocated amongst our existing categories. But we're also looking at our federal planning emphasis areas and the FAST Act planning factors in order to determine how well we're complying. And as more information has become available on bipartisan infrastructure law, we'll be looking at other factors that we feel need to be addressed. And then as a part of our due diligence, we'll be looking at what some of our other regions, metropolitan planning organizations in Massachusetts, how they're scoring various items and seeing if there's any applicability to our region. So we'll start this process with the JTC at their next meeting, and we'll bring this forward to the MPO as we have more information. But our goal is to have something as a recommendation for the MPO prior to the end of the calendar year, so it can be put out for public participation, and something that could be adopted at the beginning of the 2023 calendar year, so we could have any changes in place to score new TIP projects in February.
All right, anyone have any questions for Gary? All right, don't see any, Gary, so thank you for that. We'll move on to agenda item 7, which is district updates. All right, District 2, you're up first.
Okay, good morning. This is Daryl from District 2. So for projects in 22, fiscal year 22, we have project 608374. This is West Springfield Reconstruction Memorial Ave, Route 147 from Colony Road to the Memorial Ave Rotary. Project was advertised on June 4th. Bids were opened on July 19th with a bid amount of $27,002,392 from Ludlow Construction. In 2023, we have project 606895 at Granby, improvements at 2 locations on Route 202, School Street and 5 Corners. The design is at 100%. 100% was submitted on August 19th. Currently under review, and comments are due October 3rd. The current ad date is September 9th, 2023. Next is project 608073. That's Westfield, the Westfield River Levee multi-use path construction from Ellsworth Street to Williams Riding Way. Design is at 100%. 100% was received on August 17th. It's currently under review and comments are due September 14th. Current add date is September 9th, 2023. Projects in 2024, we have Wales reconstruction improvements on Munson Road from the Munson Town Line to Reed Hill Road. And the design is at 75%. 100% submission is due on October 19th, and the current add date is March 2nd, 2024. And that's all we have one more. Project 608717 and 24. This is Springfield reconstruction of Sumner Ave at Dickinson Street and Belmont Ave, otherwise known as the X project. The design is at 75%. 100% design submission is due September 16th. And the current add date is January 6th, 2024. And that's all I have for now.
All right, any questions for Daryl? All right, I don't see anything, Daryl. Let's move to District 1. Pete, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Steve. Can you all hear me all right?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, in fiscal year 2023, the MPO has programmed a retaining wall replacement in Cummington on Route 9 for about 450 feet adjacent to the Swift River. We're currently anticipating a revised design submittal in the fall of this year. In 2024, the two projects programmed in District 1 include Phase 2 of the reconstruction of Route 143 in Worthington. We're currently anticipating final design from CHA in October of this year. Also programmed in 2024, VHB is designing the replacement of two municipal bridges in Williamsburg, Bridge Street and South Main Street. Revised 25% design was submitted in April of this year, and the design public hearing will be scheduled after 25% approval is obtained. In 2025, the District 1 design section is currently working on preliminary design of a resurfacing project for Route 112 in Worthington from the Huntington Town Line north about 6 miles to the new roundabout at Worthington Corners. In 2026, we currently are anticipating revised 25% design for the reconstruction of Mountain Street in Williamsburg. This will be for a narrower cross section of 24 feet, which was approved by the Secretary earlier back in February of this year. And in 2027, the Mill River Greenway Bikeway in Williamsburg, we recently received a hydraulic, geotech, and structural type study from VHB that's currently under review. We're anticipating 25% design in 2023. And also in October of this year, we're anticipating 75% design from Chapel Engineering for the reconstruction of North Road and Damon Pond Road in Chesterfield. A design public hearing was held back in June of this year.
All right, any questions for Pete? All right, seeing none, thanks, Pete. All right, the next update is from PVTA. Sandra, you have any updates?
I do. Good morning, everyone. PVTA fixed route ridership shows a system-wide recovery of 70%, while the paratransit ridership has recovered to 64% of pre-pandemic levels. For the fall schedule, which begins on August 28th, we are making minor adjustments to some of our routes to increase their efficiency. And on September 29th, PVTA is holding virtual public hearings for labor-related staffing adjustments. Although these adjustments are temporary, they have been in place since December 2021, and because we have the need to continue those adjustments, we are getting feedback from the riding public regarding how that is affecting them and what we can do to improve it. Lastly, on a good note, PVTA was one of the transit agencies selected to receive bus and bus facility and low-no grant funds. PVTA received $54 million. We're going to be using 11.7 million of those for a bus bay expansion at the UMass Transit facility, 4.5 for electric buses, 1.9 million for workforce development and training for electric buses, and the rest of the money, $35 million, will be used as part of phase 1 of fully electrifying the Cottage Street facility to support the conversion to electric buses. So we will be, hopefully we'll be working with PVPC to come to the September meeting, the MPO meeting, to request amendments to the TIP for fiscal year 23 so that we can obligate those funds.
All right. Any questions for Sandra? All right, seeing none, thanks, Sandra. We're on to other business, which looks like our next meeting will be September 27th. Is that correct, Gary and Dana? Is there any other business other than that?
I do have a question, Mr. Chair.
Sure, go, Walter.
Speaking of chairs, do we have a chair of the JTC yet?
Right, Walter, that's on the agenda for the next meeting in September. We do have a candidate that is interested. So if the JTC concurs and votes to authorize that person, we will have a chair by our next MPO meeting.
Super, good news. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any other business or questions for Gary or Dana? Chris, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Just a quick update. Massdot is launching the second survey for the statewide long-range transportation plan via mobility. The survey is focused on prioritizing, public priorities as they relate to our various funding programs. So the survey is an opportunity for residents to share their views on transportation priorities while considering budgetary trade-offs. So this survey is available online at the Beyond Mobility Hub page and will be open through October. So we would like to once again ask everyone to please take the survey, share with friends and family. Big help, we really appreciate it. We received a lot of representation across the state on the last survey. So more assistance will be greatly appreciated. Thank you all.
So Chris, thanks for that. Why don't you put that in the chat so people can get the link? Rick, was that?
That was I was going to say I can stick it in my newsletter, but that'll work.
All right. Okay. And if you need more, Rick, just let us know. We can get you something. If you need something different, just let either Chris, Derek, or I know.
If Chris could just email me the link, I can just plop, just put it right in our newsletter.
All right. We'll take care of that, Rick.
Thank you.
The only other business I know of is Moving Together will be in person, but we'll offer a hybrid option as well, a virtual option as well. So we will be fully hybrid as we were for Innovation Conference. It's November 1st back at the Park Plaza Hotel. So please join us. The agenda is about 70 to 80% done. So I would say right after Labor Day, we'll probably be close to putting up the full agenda. So please mark that date. And with that, if no one has any other business, can I get a motion, a second to adjourn?
So moved, Walter Gunn.
Rick Sullivan, second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, any opposed?
Aye.
Any questions? Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Be on the lookout for the survey. We'll get that to you this afternoon, or if not earlier, Rick, Chris will send it to you. And everyone be safe, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
See everybody.
Thanks, everyone.